Uh, Welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone. After your lunch, we are returning to the ARC to continue with the programs of the second day, right?
Yes. And we hope you do enjoy the lunch exhibition and all the mini workshop going on at the heart of the school.
Nice. And before we begin, we would like again thank our partners whom have supported our journey to this summit. They are our Gotong Royong partners.
Which is Indika Energy, Bank Mandiri, Mind ID,
Paragon Technology and Innovation, Alturki Holdings, Bank Rakyat Indonesia.
Forum Human Capital Indonesia, Kalbe Pharma, Hydro Coco, Fitbar, Saka Pharma, Click Doctor.
Okay, and then also Patra Jasa, BP Jam Sostek, Taspen, Ganara Art, Garuda Indonesia.
And also Kementerian Pendidikan Riset Kebudayaan dan Teknologi, Alam Sutra Realty, Kereta Api Indonesia, and Kala Group.
Our organizing partners, Daya 5, Daya Dimensi Indonesia, Bapenas, Stoik Trisula, and Pantare Communications.
Also our community partners, Pemimpin.id, Lead the Fest 2022, Ecosystem, Jumbo, and saya, Perempuan Anti Korupsi.
And last but not least, Arawat Group, Evolutionary Futures Lab, the Leadership Tree, Axia Origin as our knowledge partners. Boleh berikan tepuk tangan, a round of applause, a big one to our beloved sponsors and partners for their supportive action. Okay, for those of you who are still outside, the participants of V20 2022 Summit, you may please return to the ARC as we are continuing our program, the second session of the second day. Okay, so our next session, we are entering the sixth session of V20 Summit 2022, which is Society Inspiring Talk.
We're discussing more about value-based solution in education system to pursue the peace and prosperity agenda of the G20 in our society.
I promise you, you would want to return because this inspiring talk is going to be very, very interesting.
Indeed.
Feisty as well, maybe. So please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. The next session, we are going to welcome our inspirational speaker, Bapak Captain Budi Suhardi, founder of Yayasan Kasih Roslin, CNN Hero 2009 from Indonesia.
Yes. And now, we would like to introduce you closer to our facilitator of the Society Inspiring Talk, which is Marisa Fascio.
She is the V20 co-founder, Catalyst for Change at Vocazione, as well as the founder and CEO of No Coaching.
Marisa collaborates with senior leaders and their teams as a thinking partner, facilitator, advisor, and coach.
She is focused on change, learning, and growth for both individuals and organizations.
Marisa is an adjunct professor on the faculty of CUDAS, Centro Universitario di Organizzazione Aziendale in Italy. Master Executive MBA on the subject of change, teams, leadership, and coaching.
Wow, we're gonna learn a lot from her. Together with our previous session facilitator, Stefano Petti, Marisa Faccio is also founding member of the Global Movement Values 20, which he co-chaired in 2021 under the Italian presidency of the G20.
And one of the Italian partners of the Entrepreneurship Sport Generation Global Initiative, which aims to support the United Nations SDG through conscious entrepreneur.
So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the V20 Society Inspiring Talk.
Please join me in honoring CNN hero Budi Suhardi.
So here we are, Captain Budi Soardi, okay, in front of this beautiful audience. So, selamat siang, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you. Those are my teachers in Indonesian. Okay, so Captain Budi Soardi, okay, we've just learned that there are many awards that you were given. Let me just mention a few. Okay, we just heard about you becoming CNN hero in 2009. And you were a recipient of Humanity Awards from SCTV and the Compass Group. And recently, you received Icon Pancasila by the government. So, may I ask you, how did everything start? So we know what your award, but can we go back to the origins, please?
Selamat siang, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Very good afternoon to all. It's a privilege for me to be here for you to share what has been done for the last 23 years. Well, Alisa, again as shown there, I wrote specially Kindness Never Fails. Has been conducted for 23 years. But amazingly, the things, it wasn't started with any intention. We don't have any desire, and we don't have any capabilities on doing it. It was one evening in 1999 in Singapore, while I was still in Singapore flying for Singapore Airlines. That evening, we were having a special dinner with the family. A lot of food. Food was our favorite kind of food. And on the same evening, we were discussing about our holiday trip around the world, 33 days. And because of my job, we were entitled to travel in first class on Singapore Airlines. So it was a very fine evening, very happy moment. Somehow, during our dinner, we saw from television, which usually switched off during dinner, about the East Timor refugees living miserably, full of uncertainties, in slums, living in between trees, plastic bags, and plastic lines everywhere, just very miserable condition. While on our side, at home, we are nice, comfortable, secure, safe, and it's very much different than what they're having. Because of, we feel the blessing that we are living such kind of way, we say thankful, we're so thankful. At the same time, we feel so sorry to what we just saw on the television. Back and forth, we say, oh, thank God we're like this. Oh, so sorry to see those people. Thank God we are doing this. Oh, praise the Lord. Oh, did you see that child and the family eating? So, feeling grateful, feeling sorry, feeling grateful, feeling sorry. And suddenly, that time my 3.5-year-old son, Christian, he pops out a question to us. Daddy, can we do something for them? Then the evening changed, the mood.
You know, it's considering my profession, I always been taught about asking powerful questions. Now, can you imagine a 3.5-year boy who asks a very apparently simple question, Dad, what can we do for them? And here we go. The life of this wonderful pilot changes. So you will hear in a while. So they were about to fly in a first-class trip for 33 days around the world. But a simple, very powerful question, what can we do for them, Daddy? What happened then?
Yes. The evening changes from very happy, eagerly want to see different parts of the world with discussion about how we can go to reach that place, what things to be given, how much quantity to be given. And after a very long discussion at 11 o'clock at night, we decided to postpone our holiday in exchange to visit the people, those people we just saw on the television. So my advice to you, be careful on watching television, it can change your life. Yeah, and then we are planning to go there with a maximum of 500 kilograms of goods. Cut a long story short, at home, before we leave, actually, has been collected 987 kilograms, 13 kilograms share than 1 ton. And then, with so many things, so many difficulties, finally we found a way of which actually Singapore Airlines grant us 1 ton of cargo free. So we went to Jakarta. And from Jakarta, we did shopping like a rich man. We shop and shop and shop until we end up additional more than 8 tons goods. And then we found other difficulties, which is how to bring these goods across to West Timor. Amazingly, after 3 days of preparation, the 4th day we're taking a break. We feel so tired, and we just let it go, relaxing. And while I'm cleaning my room, my old room that I left my Jakarta home for 9 years. So first time I saw my flying bag, because I left 9 years before. Inside my bag, I found a notebook. And inside that notebook, I found a phone number, belongs to my friend, a pilot friend, of which I call him. Hello, 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 hello. And then finally he asked me, why are you coming back to Indonesia? Oh, my wife and I, my family, we want to visit the East Timor refugees. We want to give assistance, wherever we can go. But I'm having difficulties on how to bring the goods across. And out of the blue, he pops out the word that, oh, not to worry, why did you call Uncle Harry? I don't know who he was, but finally I called him. Apparently he was the fleet manager of the national ship liner. And I called him, never met him in my life. Very short conversation. Finally, we were given 2 letters. One, I'm allowed to bring anything until 10 tons. The second letter, I'm allowed to bring anything until 15 tons. So here we are from Jakarta. We went all the way to Surabaya, 22 hours. Surabaya, Bali, 17 hours. And from Bali to Timor, 28.5 hours by ship. In Timor, we did our shopping again. End up, we have to rent 2 huge trucks because all that we bought, collected, are more than 40 tons. Originally 500 kilograms, and then became 40 tons, more than 40 tons.
So Captain Budi, I know that you prepared some slides
Yes,
to
yes.
show us, just to give us an idea
Yes.
of what...
Okay, all right. Okay. Oh, this is, well, me when I was still flying. We are grateful, having life and planning for holiday there. And because of the evening, we decided to go to help these refugees. And this is the actual trip, on the first trip we went. The goods collected, if in a straight line, about 70 meters long. We have so many bags, okay? And all without any documentations, all at check-in luggage. Because we have the capabilities, so we are willing to do it, and to advise to also us that don't hold back if you are able to do it. This is the goods that are being transferred. Visited the refugees. And within 1 year, we did 5 trips. And after 5 trips, the whole family came together, discussed things again. Are we doing good thing or not? Yes, good, because we're helping others. Food, clothing, vitamins, and many necessities. but food being eaten, finished. Clothing, they don't have water, they don't have a proper place to play. After 1 month, we'll be like wrecks. So it is good, but it was not significant enough. So the whole family discussed again, and then we decided, let's look after little ones. Okay, so my wife went to West Timor to rent a house, small house, fill up with 4 very miserable children, and end up as become 16 children. And we found out that 16 babies in one small house is not healthy enough. So we decided to build our own place. So that's why we built the orphanage from scratch. And more babies, more children, and at the peak we were having 178 children. And amazingly, that we are so blessed with, we were able to be self-sufficient on food. We plant our own meal of veggies, fruits, and rice as well. So these are the babies who came to us, finished universities all. This is the upbringing. It's a must for them to go to school. And happiness is actually not only for them, for us as well. Yeah. Children should have fun. We should not discount their happiness, so we should let them to have fun. It is a must for the children. If you ask us to have a party, we party every day 3 times, because 1 time cooking more than 100 children. We don't practice things which is expensive. Quality time can be made by simple thing. No gadget, no problem. And even we are enhancing them to have a good bonding. And their physical activities made them more alert and healthy. No gadget. Somehow we are together. And we are enjoying our life, you know. So it's, you know, no need gadget. No need to buy batteries, this and that. And then schooling, again, is a must. Play hard, yes, but we should study hard. Rosalind Orphanage, basically, we plant our own food. We look after babies, from babies until finish university. These are some of the children who finished as a doctor, computer science, agriculture, dental, hospitality, and many more. They're having chances the same as my own son, Christian, the one 3.5 years old before such thing as.
So this is where everything started, okay, with a simple question.
Yes.
So, Captain Budi,
yes.
Before we move on, so when you talked about your family, everything happens over dinner. So the image I had is that you don't have what I would define a normal family, but you have a board of directors. Okay, so in your family company, decisions are made, something sparks, and here we go. We have a vision, and then we move into strategy, and then into executing program. Is that correct?
Well, things should be planned properly. So the family is everything to us. The center of everything is the family. So we try to instill values since they're young. And in fact, my son, Christian, he was late to get his degree because when he was finished high school, much earlier than the rest of because he skipped classes for a few years. So he asked me permission, Daddy, can I have 1 year holiday out of school? Why? I want to help Mama, the mother, looking after the orphanage. Okay, sure. Asking for 1 year, end up he stayed for 3 years until I chased him up, get out from orphanage and go back to school. That's why he late, 3 years from getting his degree.
And since we are talking about your 3 children, how old are they now?
33, almost 30, and 26.
And what do they do in life?
5 years ago, my three children, without telling me and my wife, they decided to return to Indonesia for good. Two from Canada, from Australia. They supposed to have a good life, a good scholarship and jobs, but they decided to go home for good. They told me that they want to continue the orphanage one. I'm not able anymore.
Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? So, one point, fun is a must, and education is a must. And one of the things that you shared is that for you, education is a way to break the poverty cycle. It's as if for you to make these children sustainable in the future is really a key point. So sustainability is one of your values.
Yes, indeed. Talking about education first, can you imagine those children who has no one and now he became a doctor? He can become this and that. They can sustain their life. So education is a must because education can change whatever you want. It's limitless possibilities. And my time is limited in terms of to being productive. So sustainability must be thought of properly because I cannot finance them all the time. Okay? So sustainability to me is we have to be aiming towards self-sufficiency no matter what. And this is the fact that we have. The land that we have is actually not land, actually rocks. So a rare soil, but rocks. This is the reason why the people from this area, the working age children, they left their hometown to be working as domestic workers, car park officers, and gangsters even. Because they cannot dwell on it, especially on a dry season. You know? For me and my wife, we did our due diligence in terms of finding facts about the land. So we want to know exactly what the land is all about. And then moving forward, we have to work based on data-driven, not because, oh, that man said. No, we have to know exactly. So data-driven is a must. So this is for us, trying to know what the soil is all about. And this is the fact. After tilting the soil, and looks hard, but we cannot stop dreaming big. So we keep on dreaming big, and we did until now. We're still doing it, and make efforts of it. So first of all, we clear up the rocks that's now, and this is my wife and the kids. This is 20 trucks of cow dung for material for us to make the soil. Okay. Things must be done by means of lead by example. Don't point this, point that, give instruction, but we have to do it ourselves. Yeah, it is my son also, 3.5-year-old that time. Yeah. And you have to be willing to work. When I'm asking, when I want the children doing it, I just did myself first, then they will follow me. So lead by example is a must to all of us. There is always a way, if you will. And this is the transformed land. Exactly the rocky soil. Yeah. We have mangoes, we have this and that. Everything can be done if you're willing to do it. Okay?
Yes, this is true. You don't need to go to the gym, do you?
Yeah, I don't need to go to the gym, you know. And yeah, family affairs. And togetherness is our strength. You know, if we are doing things together, all possibilities can be done. This is transformed life. This is what we experienced just now. We got hit by cyclone, April 2021, this last year. If you look at this, what will be in our minds? the responsibility for us to look after the children is still there. To eat 3 times a day, going to school, and everything else must be fulfilled. But looking at this, most people will be running away, but there's no to us. Okay? We have to prevail. We have to overcome it. If we did it at the first place, at the first time, we can do it second time. So don't be afraid to start something as long as you have something initiated to be done in a good way or with good purpose. Things will come to you. Don't be scared, okay? Say no to giving up. Yeah, we always plan big. You can start as small as possible, but don't delay. Just do it, whatever you plan for to do. And this is my plan in the future, which is we have to let the children know about the 5 pillars of Indonesia, which is Pancasila. On the first day, we were talking a lot about Pancasila. 5 principles must be understood and practiced by every single Indonesian. Because by doing so, we will be able to practice the universal values, regardless what tribes you are, what culture background you are. With Pancasila, we can be united and things can be done greatly. And one more thing, we have to promote the coexistence. We are all equal. Every single one of us, we are all equal. From there, things can be escalated.
Captain Budi, before you move to the next slide, so let me stay for a moment in these 2 key concepts. I've never heard of togetherness, okay? And what you said in your previous slide is that for you and your family, togetherness is your strength. And now you talk and emphasize the importance of coexistence. There seems to be a very important link between the two. Can you tell us more about this concept, please?
As far as the togetherness is concerned, I experienced myself during my childhood. My father passed away when I was 9. He was a lecturer in Gajah Mada University in Jogja, and also founder of one of other university in Jogja as well, now called Universitas Yogyakarta. We were experiencing to have condition whereby we eat once a day, one meal a day. But every single day, every morning, me and my siblings, I'm the youngest of 5, we were competing to wake up early, to water the plants, to clean up the garden, the leaves, fallen leaves. We made the leaves as fertilizer, water the plants. As a result, we never go hungry because we have banana all year round. We have tapioca all year round. We have mango season. We have lime every day. We have sweet potato every day. And so many other fruits. Especially ada mungkin tahu buah sawo or chiku. Chiku fruit is amazing. The more you harvest it, the tree will give you more fruit, you know.
So that's the tree of abundance.
Yeah. As long as you work together, things can be done and overcome. And comes to their experience and acknowledging that we are all equal, big and small, different nationality, different culture background. If we are able putting ourselves equally, then everybody will be able to contribute accordingly, their own capabilities. Then this world will be a much better place to live.
This is a fundamental concept about society. We are all equal and yet we are different, but these differences can bring lots of value also together. And from what you are telling us, Captain Budi, your concept of togetherness produces miracles. So if I think that you were sitting at the table, ready to start a journey, 33 days vacation with your family, what you did in between starting from a ground that had only rocks. Okay, and now coming here, so lots of miracles in your life.
Amen.
Yes, how do you do that? What happens? What is the miracle medicine that you are using? We would love all to have this medicine.
Well, again, if you initiate something, good initiatives to do something good, be ready to be chased by miracles. It happened to us, it will happen to you. Just starting something good. And everybody, you will attract all good factors coming to you. You know, it will enhance condition where oxytocin is. Let's say I do something, and you like me doing it. Then, oh, Budi is doing something good. Then you copy somebody else. Or, let's say you meet me, hey Budi, I saw you, you're doing good. I'm being enhanced. I'm happy. I'm happy, I will be getting the endorphin. I'm happy. My blood flow, kind of progressive good, and I'm healthier. You know?
So there is something that we can call miracles, we can call, hearing your story, synchronicities. So you just shared with us when you were thinking how to send all the goods over to Timor, and you found that little book. But there are lots of other synchronicities. Well, I know I call them synchronicities, you call in a different way.
Divine intervention.
Exactly. Okay, so here we go with similarities and differences again. But can you tell us about the land where everything started?
Oh, the orphanage land was started with, it's amazing because 1992, a family from West Timor, they're having intention to bring the daughter who accidentally having accident to go to the hospital to be fixed. They don't have money. So they asked permission whether they can stay at home or not. Sure, we just bought a house in 1991, they came in 1992, brand new house, and we hardly in Jakarta, we live in Korea. So welcome, stay. We even picked them up at the port. That time, airplane is very expensive, you know. And we brought them to the hospital, back and forth. We paid for their medication bills, this and that. And after 31 days, they were finished with their medical treatment, and the daughter got cured. On that evening, I was coming back from Korea. That time I was flying for Korean Airlines still. And they asking me if we can have a conversation during dinner. Sure. And sure enough, during dinner, they're thanking us. Thank you for paying us. Thank you for having us. Thank you for paying our medical bill. Thank you for this and that. But Pak Budi, can you help us one more thing? Sure, if we can help you, why not? Can you buy us a car to enhance our business? To my mind, I said, well, I'm salary man, so too expensive. Yeah. But my wife, before I say something else, my wife pulled me in and then, honey, if you can help, please help. Then I told my wife, I love you too. Then we went out, and then we promised the guy, okay, we find a newspaper tomorrow, we find ads on the newspaper, we'll buy a car, and then the second day after we bought a car, second-hand car, we fixed the car nicely, and then on the day they are supposed to depart back to Timor, I was so busy, just about to go for a wedding. So the wife asking me, Pak Budi, can I have your home address here? So we can send you message or news. When we send you a letter, that time a handphone or is hardly available. No? Email is not being practiced yet at the time. So, but we were in a hurry, so my wife, sure, give her a photocopy of ID card, which is complete of the home address. Then they left. Before they left, they told us, I will replace everything with a land. Excuse me, land? Where? In Timor. Oh, thank you, but no thank you. I have few land in Jakarta, myself. But I hardly seeing my property. Sometimes 5 years I haven't seen my land. So, thank you, but no thank you. I don't want. 3 months later, came back to us a piece of an envelope, big envelope, containing of land certificate. Wow, my wife and I said, oh, this is a forced purchase. So we went to Timor, we went to the government office, asking the land price, the market price. Then we found the person, we paid the person, and we left without seeing the land. 8 years later, when we were at the rented place, we found the rented place too small. We want to build the orphanage, and we find the land we bought, never seen it before. That's how we build the orphanage, where we bought the orphanages.
You see, when I talk about synchronicities now, what I mean. So, and I love also this concept that miracles do happen in our lives. So, what's next? What does the world need to be ready for, considering where you're going now?
If God permits, I want to help the country to eradicate stunting in Indonesia, malnourished children in Indonesia, by means of providing them enough protein by themselves without any cost. How? It was started during the COVID. During the COVID, many people got laid off, and hardly they have meeting the ends meet, not enough food, this and that. So I was thinking something basic, something natural to be done to fulfill what's needed by the society. So come to my mind was a fish, because I know some fish are eating leaves. So that's how I started. This is basically the place that we have, a reservoir. We have a reservoir called Reservoir of Love. That's me.
Of
there,
course,
small.
what else?
Yeah, and with all the waters and sunlight, everything is possible. Okay, all are possible. Okay. This is the fish I'm talking about. We look after this fish without buying fish feed. So we feed them with plants. Yeah. The trees behind me there, like papaya leaves, that's one of the fish feed. You know, this is catfish. We look after this for 2 years, and it happened we are able to rear fish without buying fish feed. So if every single people doing it at their own backyard without buying fish feed, I'm sure they will be able to have protein supplies, and their backyard at home can be gotten anytime. So if this is being practiced by the people who are affected by the stunting, or stunted children will be eliminated much faster than what the government planned. So I'm hoping that this will be copied by more people, so they will have protein at home. And this is a sample of the weeds, the leaves that can actually become a fish feed, you know. Morning glory, chili, cabbage tree, leaves, you know, avocado tree, banana tree, spinach, melon, so many things. These leaves can be used to feed the fish.
So we are not talking about something special, something difficult. It's something that we find everywhere.
Yes, yeah, you can find in your surroundings. No need to buy fish feed, but this will be able to eradicate polio in Indonesia or any countries affected by stunting.
So who have you talked with already about this project that you have in mind?
Well, I spoke to one of the person who in charge for stunting in Indonesia 3 months ago, few times, but so far not being followed up. So maybe I will come back again to talk to him, and hopefully the idea will be spread to more people.
Right, so I think that if you need support from people to join their voice to your voice, I'm sure that there will be plenty here. Really happy to join you in this and help you out in whatever way they can. And we can, of course.
Yes!
So, Dr. Budi, we are lucky enough to have still a few minutes.
A lot,
okay.
okay.
Which is, yes, which is important. So I would like to go back to when you were a pilot, okay? Because you decided to resign before the end of your career, if I recall correctly, 6 years before. So why did you do that?
Yeah, my job to me is the so-called ultimate job. I travel around the world, being picked up back and forth on the way to the airport, staying in a 5-star hotel, eating good food, meeting different walks of life, people, friends everywhere, and most importantly, I got paid
Exactly.
as a pilot. So it was a really good job. And then I've been flying through hurricane, typhoon, cyclone, this and that, and being blessed to be safe, free from accident, any accident or incident. So in a way, I'm so blessed for 40 years. So I think it's, 40 years being blessed to be having good career, good family, everything is good, it's enough. So it's time to give back. So that's why I decided to resign 6 years earlier than my retirement age to enable me to do something while physically I'm still capable. I don't need to be grab or assist on walking, then start doing it. But I want, when I'm healthy still, to do something properly.
So here we go, the concept of giving back that is coming again into play, playing a huge role. So we are at V20 Summit. Which are your values, your key values, the values that really inspire you to do what you have always done so far?
To me, quite simple. Yeah. Whatever you do in life, do the best you can. And what do you want to leave for your children or the society? It must be lead by example. Do things yourself properly. Then people, no need to be told, but they will, if they're seeing what we're doing is good, they'll follow you automatically. One. And secondly, don't stop dreaming. Have dreams, as many as possible, and dream big. And you may start everything, no matter how small it is, and don't delay. Just do it now.
Do it now. So you don't want to postpone anything.
Yeah, nothing is impossible.
So, one last question. In a life so full, is there something that you regret? You wish you had done differently? Is there something that...
Well, I cannot complain. I cannot regret. Only if I may ask, maybe one day become 48 hours. 24 hours is not enough. Yeah, so much to be done. I'm just asking if possible to be healthy. And yeah, be thankful of whatever you are and wherever you are daily. Then you will feel actually paradise not everywhere is here with you right now.
Yes. So can you also share with us one last thing that I'm asking to share? How you start your morning, every morning?
Waking up in the morning, as I say, open my eyes, praise the Lord for the new day. Thank you for the new day. Thank you for being able to breathe. And it will be a good day today.
So, Captain Budi, it was such a pleasure and honor for me to have spent hours with you. We had only 45 minutes to share with our audience, but I'm sure their heart is full of love. So really, heartfelt thank you, and for being such a great example for all of us.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
So, Captain.
Yes. Yeah.
A round of applause for Captain Budi Suhardi.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Very,
Thank you.
very inspiring. One picture together with Marisa Facho, our facilitator. I personally have known Pak Budi for 11 years, I think ya Pak. Kita udah kenal ya Pak. So I know his whole family, his wife, Mama Peggy, his children. I know them from they were younger, now they're like adult already, and his family is amazing. Supporting their
Yeah.
cause will make you happier.
Yes.
Amazing,
Thank
amazing
you,
work,
Bapak.
Bapak.
Thank you so much. Very
It will be a
inspiring,
good
very heartwarming.
day.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Thank you, Pak Budi.
And thank you, our dear facilitator, Ibu Marisa Facho. Thank you so much. So yes, in Bali, we used to say this kind of weather, we call it syahdu.
Syahdu.
What is it in English?
Romantic.
Romantic.
Romantic,
Very romantic weather.
right?
Indeed, indeed.
Romantic, because the discussion will be romantic as well.
Yes.
Right?
So moving on now to the next agenda, panel discussion of Society Task Force. We are inviting panel discussion speakers and panelists, Ibu Dr. Lina Do Uri, V20 2022 Task Force Co-Lead, Associate Professor of Organizational Psychology, Lebanon and Norway, who is joining with us virtually.
Also, we're inviting Bapak Brad McFarlane, V20 2022 Task Force Co-Lead and Organizational Consultant, joining us virtually from United Kingdom.
And I'm also inviting Ibu Mandy Shanghera, International Human Rights Activist, joining virtually from the United Kingdom. And Bapak Hendra, the Senior Vice President, Strategic Planning and Business Development of PT Taspen Indonesia.
Also, Ibu Tita Jumario, founder of Yayasan Ganara Mari Berbagi Seni Indonesia.
And joining live from Bali, this Pak Nico is my lecturer back in the university, so it's a very special moment for me to invite him on the stage today. He is the CEO of BRI Venture Indonesia. So here we go, the
With the
V20 panel discussion of Society
Task
Task
Force.
Force.
So the sky has decided to welcome you with a bit of water. It was too hot, and so here we go.
It was too hot, now too cold.
Right. Okay, so welcome, and I see that also our three online speakers are here with us. So welcome to this Society Task Force session. So let me start with our task force leaders, and let me introduce them first. So we will talk with Dr. Lina Daokori. PhD is a V20 2022 Task Force co-lead and an associate professor of organizational psychology at BI Norwegian School of Business and visiting researcher at Aalto University in Finland. Lina is a scholar activist interested in bridging between academia and practice and utilizing academic knowledge in the service of society. Then we have Brett McFarlane, who is a V20 22 Task Force co-lead together with Lina. He is an organizational consultant and researcher specializing in the psychology of leadership. and innovation based in London and Vancouver. So with over 200 awards and patents, he has worked with the world's most famous innovation organizations, including Apple, Barclays, Unilever, Google, and Sweden's central bank. I need to apologize with all these wonderful speakers because I will have to shorten your bio just for simply time reasons. Okay, so I prefer our audience to hear you and they will go immediately online to know who you are. So I hope you don't mind. So starting with you, Lina and Brett, whom I know since last year when we worked together for the V20 in Italy. So we've just heard from Captain Budi Sohardi how a single person and his family can really have a huge impact on people's life and really make an incredible contribution to society, or at least a part of it. Now we are in the Society Task Force. So I have two questions for you. The first one is, how do you define society? And the second one is, in your research and studies, have you identified what Captain Budi called this togetherness, something that connects people and that connects people to institutions? Please, Lina and Brett.
Thank you, Marissa, and thank you everyone for hosting us today. This venue and everything around you looks so beautiful. It's such a shame we were not able to be there with you in person. And I also wanted to add that Captain Budi's presentation was so inspiring to see the land transform and all those, the vegetation and everything that he did is just so inspiring and like heartwarming. I wanted to start by emphasizing that, you know, as
Lina, sorry for interrupting you for a moment. Here's it's pouring with rain. Could you raise your voice a little bit because it's really difficult for us to hear you?
Can you hear me better now?
Thank you.
So really, in our task force, the starting point of the Society Task Force was to think about us as humans. Who are we as a species? How do we work together? One of the key differentiators between us and other species, we believe, is really our ability to communicate, innovate, to think, to empathize, to think in complex ideas. And this helped us coordinate so that we could live in collective living and in communities. So when we were able to create, organization between us so that we could live in a large community, we started also creating language, educational systems, norms, gender roles, legislative protection, all of these things around us we consider as part of the society and that are important to our everyday living. So really society, we think about it in the largest sense, not only from a people's perspective. It could be your local community, it could be your nation, it could be the G20 assembly. Every single person on this planet who exists in this atmosphere for us is critical to society. So what we really started thinking of when we were planning the work around the task force is there were two really driving principles that shape how we think. And this is something that you also mentioned a little bit earlier, Marita. One is recognizing that we are different and we are unique, each one of us. But then the other thing is identifying what universally connects us. And if we really want to think about the connection between us as human beings, we need to dig a little bit deeper. And it's something that is rooted into our core beliefs as human beings, and these are our values. So the values that we really identified here in our task force that kind of are driving what we do are the values of responsibility, empowerment, justice, and inclusivity. These we believe can help us achieve our goal in introducing values that can foster a more connected society and that can generate growth and peace and prosperity for all. In terms of the research, this connectedness, you know, we are one, Marisa. We don't live independently as human beings. And, you know, it was so inspiring to hear this also from the experience of Captain Woody, because it's really what makes up our societies as a whole.
Right, so thank you, Lina. So you are mentioning 4 values. That is responsibility, empowerment, justice, and inclusivity. So in which way are these values, from your point of view, the drivers of a connected society?
Hi, Marissa, and thank you everyone for organizing this event and this amazing form of togetherness and connectedness through dialogue and producing artifact policy. And to follow up on your question there, in which way are those 4 values the drivers of a connected society? It's important to acknowledge that at a societal level, values can seem fluffy or abstract, yet it's within the values themselves where the tangible values of values live. Think of each value as a container, and in this container of a value lives the different ways we make those values real through our beliefs, policies, and our actions. The goal of our task force was to make the values of justice, responsibility, empowerment, and inclusivity aspirational and tangible in pursuit of the G20 mission, with this year's focus on how to build back better and stronger. Each chapter, each of our 5 chapters in the Society Task Force advances these values in a tangible way through education, digitalization, gender, and religion. But we also took on a rather grand challenge of can we connect and measure the society-wide impact of values-led policies. And I'll highlight one of the papers that's in the task force, that's a chapter authored by Marco Devanti in his paper titled The Common Good Value of Collective Well-Being, where it's proposed a more comprehensive measure than GDP with a focus on outcomes that reflect well-being and the thriving of people and nature through the values that we've identified. And myself as an economist originally, I cringed at the ongoing supremacy of GDP. GDP is a disincentive to peace and prosperity. This has already been discussed by other participants in the forum. Acts that are unjust, exclusionary, or irresponsible are measured as positive GDP outcomes despite their disempowering effects and unsustainable development. They work against the 4 values that we were discussing in our task force. The concept he proposes, CGP, is a better measure than GDP. CGP is the common good product. CGP puts human outcomes first as the purpose of measurement and the end result of policy.
Thank you, Brett. Reading the chapters included in your task forces, we noticed that they tie to multiple G20 22 priorities, maybe more than other task forces. Why do you think this is the case?
Well, as Lina first explored, society is what connects all of us, and so it's natural that society-level policies are integrated and that they cross silos and cross boundaries. That's the challenge of societal policies. And each of the G20 2022 priorities of global health architecture, digital economy transformation, sustainable energy transition, each are big topics on their own and directly relate to each other. Each is a large policy muscle that can work together to grow the body of collective well-being. And we needed to reflect that in our society chapter, where we looked at the whole and also found ways that we could look at the parts and integrate them together for collective benefit. And that's why we started today's discussion on society with the topic of measurement. Often we don't think we just measure, but actually the common good product policy is the outcome we want to work towards. It is an outcome that represents the net tangible and intangible well-being of society. It ties everything together through a primary measure reflecting our collective comfort, health, and happiness. So as you say, the Society Task Force ties the different areas together, but we do it through a sort of glue, as it were, or a lubricant, depending on what metaphor you feel comfortable with.
Right. So you are talking about values-based education. Okay, and thinking about this and thinking about what Captain Budi just said, there is a question that comes immediately to mind. So how could values-based education support and enhance something that is so crucial and important these days, that is technological progress? Lina, are you with us?
Go ahead. Yes, I am.
Good.
You got off a little bit.
So did you hear the question?
No, can you say again, please?
So I was asking, considering what Brett shared with us about values-based education, okay, and combining this with what Captain Budi said that is really important also in his experience, that is technological progress. How do you think that values-based education could enhance and support, therefore, technological progress?
You know, one of the wonderful chapters that was included in our task force is a chapter by Asuhan Satkunasningam, and the chapter was titled Building Value-Based Education System for the G20 countries. And you see, he argues in that chapter that educational institutions play a pivotal role in, creating a holistic development of the individual. And in order to achieve this holistic objective of peace, prosperity, and the quality of life across society and education, and human talent and education are extremely important, and they are our greatest enabler. And, rethinking how we measure things, like Brett was mentioning about the CGP, and then rethinking our educational systems can play a huge role in shaping individuals and starting to move us toward a direction that focuses on values and growth that is internal. So in this chapter, Asuhan proposes a new measurable framework to advance peace and prosperity of the G20 nations and all nations through the adoption of the VBE to empower citizens as a force of change. But perhaps Brett can tell us more about the digital chapter and how it links to, and the link between digitization and education.
Yes, because there's a very strong link between education and technological process, as you set up, Marissa. And the needs for values-based education is desperately evident in the technical progress of recent decades, in particular digitalization, which is one of the focuses of this year's summit. We assumed as a society that giving nearly everyone access to digital technology and the internet would empower and elevate society. However, we've yet to see the complete economic gains and benefits promised. Too few benefit so much at such cost. Instead, we have growing rates of suicide, depression, isolation, addiction, division, misinformation, and inequality throughout the G20. All with growing evidence of its cause, digitalization of media, education, services, and the economy. So there's an urgent need to address growing digitalization harm to regain digital solidarity where responsibility and justice are carried more equally and fairly by all parties in society. And this is where technical progress, driven by values education, and the outcome is the North Star we want to work towards. But, I just want to give a quick preview of some of the policy recommendations that make this point tangible. And we are building on precedents that exist in areas such as financial treaties between nations that can bias towards higher standards and fair outcomes. And this is where the premise of the Values-Led Treaty can do the same for fair balance of digitalization, benefits, and costs to society. So a policy framework outlined in my chapter titled Digitalization and Fair Process, Values Treaty, and Do No Harm. 3 policies are recommended. I'll just quickly introduce them and we can dig into them later afterwards. But firstly, there's fair process and multilateral policy development, dealing with digitalization. Secondly, a values treaty for cross-border digitalization. And thirdly, a digital do no harm requirement where the bits and bytes of the digital workflow invisibly go across borders. And basically it's the premise. If you're an auto manufacturer and you know your vehicle can explode, you don't go and sell that in another country. That would be irresponsible. And so with some policies such as we've identified here, we can tilt the focus of digitalization and technology program back towards the values-led outcomes that we want, back towards creating common well-being as the primary driver of technology.
Okay, thank you. Your work is to help G20 institutions address all these problems in hopefully a better way. So may I ask you why what you are sharing could matter for them? How could institutions be inspired and supported in policy making and policy implementation?
Thank you, Marita. So, you know, unfortunately, if we are really to have a realistic view of the world today, the world is not in a very good place. You know, from natural to man-made disasters, armed conflict, wars, ecological disasters, you know, we have troubles all around the world, and there is no time, no better time for us to come together and really rethink what we are doing so that we can ensure and alleviate the pain and suffering that many people are experiencing around the world. And you know, sometimes it seems like, you know, we're starting from scratch with every summit, and that change is really like driven by crisis. And as a result, you find that many citizens around the world feel very like disconnected, and institutions are less effective. However, we have an opportunity here with value-led policies, because this can flip the dynamic. And what we offer, you know, as inspiration is basically thinking collectively, thinking collectively as our task force on society in the V20, but also as the V20 and also as, you know, humans all around. We are able to provide alternatives and to think in different ways and provide alternative approaches to tackling some of our biggest challenges around the world. And what we offer from the V20, and particularly in our task force, is ideas that really try to tackle those big challenges, but are all rooted in a value-based policy making at the end of the day. I'll share with you two examples. One of them is from a chapter that I co-authored with Dr. Karim Jaha and Lorenza Piedi. The chapter is titled The Intersectionality of Gender and Sustainability. And that chapter, what we focus on is that gender is a very important topic, but it's not an independent topic. It's a topic that kind of transcends, and it matters across multiple fields that are critical to the sustainability of our planet today. So we believe that, you know, it's limiting to view gender in one SDG, in one sustainable development goal. Rather, considering the role of women in society, the social role, the economic role, the environmental role, it's important to start rethinking how we position you know, gender and gender equality agenda, and not limited to one SDG, but rather we aspire to see it across all sustainable targets and actions. And similarly, in another chapter written by Hanif Saleh Al-Gaba, Dr. Asaf Abdullah Al-Jubayd, Masha'il Abdul Halim Al-Zaid, and Mr. Muhammad Ratfai, they titled their chapter Social Responsibility and the Value of Dialogue in Promoting Environmental Care in Places of Worship. And really what they do in this chapter is that they integrate the spiritual dimension of faith and religion, etc., which relates to society. They relate it to the ecological dimension of the planet. So what they propose in their chapter is that, okay, so people have different religions, that's maybe something that differentiates between us, but what is common between us also is that we all go to these places, to a physical space that is the place of worship that represents our religion. Many of us do. We go there to exercise our faith, to learn, to be inspired, and to, you know, from the wisdom of our religion. So those spaces, the authors argue, can actually play a very important role in playing a responsible role in fostering and developing a more sustainable relationship between people who come to these worship places and the planet. So they offer a way of rethinking what we have around us today in our society, and how can we leverage that in order to promote sustainability, promote focus on the environment, and so on. So this is really what we have to offer. We offer new inspirations, new ways of thinking that are all rooted within, deeply rooted in values that are, you know, good for everyone.
And what I'm hearing, Lina, what you are suggesting, your task force is suggesting are ways in which G20 member countries can collaborate together. Now, we still have a few minutes, so I would like to dig into something that you mentioned at the beginning, which is common good product measurement, which could you just give us an example to understand better what we are talking about so that we can then conclude this session about the task force?
I'll gladly
Thank you, Brett.
dig into that one a touch more. And it brings us back to the bigger measure across society. And CGP, Common Good Product, is a primary measure that unifies the common goals, targets, and indicators of human progress. And there have been great innovations in the field over the last couple of decades, such as UN SDGs, ESG standards, the Social Progress Index, gross national happiness measures, and others. And as a primary measure, all these measures adopted up into CGP would be a catalyst for policy decisions and discussions that promote well-being and the thriving of people and nature. That's because, as a measure, CGP can serve as our collective North Star that sets the destination for topics like education, gender, religion, and digitalization. And this is a descriptive goal. It's an aspirational goal, but it's a goal that focuses and tilts these topics towards increasing society's net well-being across the board for all.
Thank you, Brett. So before moving to our other wonderful panelists here, just some closing remarks for you before we move on.
Well, we had just jotted down a couple points, and this will just take a few seconds, but what we just wanted to pull it back to is that in this task force, as was outlined in the introduction by Lina, we focused on universal values and outcomes. It is important that we talk about society through tangible multilateral policies that we can enact. It's big, it can be overwhelming, but we can make it very concrete. And these policies that place humans at the center and deliver improvements in universal pillars of society like gender, religion, digitalization, education, and the economy. These are all powerful spaces that we invite input, discussion, and continued building of the chapters and the recommendations that are being published at this forum. These are continuing, these are chapters and topics that are building year on year. And when we talk about togetherness, it's driven by the connectedness, and every comment, everyone who reads, everyone who shares, add your perspective, build on, participate next year, help us continue to evolve these very rich, deep, and meaningful areas, are also us living the values that we've addressed. We take up our responsibility to use our positions and our own empowerment to pursue justice and inclusivity in society. And if we all give in our own way to these pillars and values, we will get much in return. As Captain Booty said, it's our way of doing something good, and maybe we will be chased by miracles.
Thank you, Brett. And thank you so much for presenting the incredible work the Society Task Force did. What I really like, we started with Captain Booty talking about sharing and active togetherness. And what I'm hearing is that also your task force, starting from what we share, what we give to each other, and this probably is a way in which the attempt to bring the human voice at the center will become easier. So, Lina and Brett, thanks so much. Stay with us. If we have time, I would like to come back to you. Thank you. And applause to our fantastic task force leaders, and please. So now, let me go to the wonderful people I have sitting next to me, okay? So, let me start with Mr. Nico Wijaya.
Just Nico will be fine.
So, let me briefly summarize your bio. So, Nico Wijaya is the founding CEO of BRI Ventures, a venture arm of Bank Rakyat Indonesia, the country's largest bank focusing on micro and small medium businesses. You're also a delegate of V20 Indonesia 2022 in Economy Task Force. Currently, you hold two positions: as the chair of Permanent Committee of Investment and Partnership in Indonesia Chamber of Commerce, and an honorary board member in Indonesia Venture Capital Association. So I just stop here, if you don't mind, okay? So when I write the bio, the first thought is Nico probably is in the wrong task force. He should join the economy task force. So I'm sure that you would have been a perfect fit, but I'm sure that now you reveal why you're here with us, and we are very happy that you're with us. Please, Nico, can you help us understand?
There are plenty of brighter people joining the economy task force anyway, so I'm not gonna.
I think, yes, you need your...
Suara, okay. Yeah, probably, well, but I'm thinking, you know, society is inseparable from business world. And especially if you talking about technology and innovation, we are not really about the product focus, but it's all about founders focus. My work in the last decade, or almost 1.5 decades ago, involving the next generations of entrepreneurs. The next generation of entrepreneurs that are fueling the economic growth of Indonesia in this past, maybe since 2010, with the founders of startups. And when you talk about the startup ecosystem in Indonesia, now is entering the second cycle. Being the first cycle was when one of the largest decacorn was invested by Japanese venture capital in 2010. Now we are looking at 2022 and looking at the market pretty grim for all of us. And it's time to kind of revisit what is venture capital and what is startups, the values around them, because we are not definitely Wall Street. We're not Silicon Valley. It has to be something that is contextually match our landscape of young people, meaning that if you go to Silicon Valley or if you go to any startups in the US, the startup is designed to disrupt the status quo. But here in Indonesia, we see the like of Gojek, the like of Tokopedia. The relationship is almost symbiotic, if not complementing the status quo itself, right? And when we talk about venture capital, we talk about, at least the theme for the past 10 years was about growth at all cost. It's all about the biggest money multiple that you can get. As we know now, many venture capital didn't really realize the capital gain that they expected, and the growth at all costs finally is not the motto of all startups. Now it's becoming more about growing sustainably. It's all about growing profitability and how it can impact greater society. So I guess in the end, what startups and venture capital world is now facing is to relook at the values itself one more time.
Okay, so there's something about you, Nico, that I know, that is not only about business, but there is a passion that you have around other topics. Can you share which topics you are very interested in also?
I'm particularly interested in education because I was a Lapsi student myself. So anyway, if I can reach out to the kind like people like me, to the type people like me, maybe I can encourage them to learn, because I'm a product of the 80s, the product of the manufacturing society back in the day. So when you graduated from college, you are belonging to a batch, that you are part of this batch number workforce. But then again, after the turn of the millennia, the year 2000, as we can see, the .com being bust in the US, and a new kind of era coming in, the era of the internet, let's say. And now I guess students need to be inspired by more, impactful development rather than just doing the traditional manufacturing, traditional business wise. So I've been teaching in UPH Business School since 2011 to 2015, where I teach mainly subjects on startups, digital technology, and venture capital. And as we can know, as we can see right now, those three topics are not something that is easy to take because it's still new. The venture capital job was practically just around 6-7 years ago in Indonesia. If you can remember, if you're Indonesians, in 2012, 2011, if you tell your parents you are startup founders, meaning that you're unemployed, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you said you are startup founders, you probably get more attention that you can expect. Like, are you a billionaire? Are you a billionaire founder? Something like that. So it's really new, especially in this part of the world. I'm not talking only in Indonesia. Even in Singapore, Malaysia, the Philippines, these new sectors is something that need to be carefully looked at. It's not, like I said earlier, it's not Wall Street, it's not Silicon Valley. Perhaps we find a new model, a better model than the West.
Okay, thank you, Nico. We heard from Lina and Brett. They mentioned 4 values: empowerment, justice, responsibility, inclusivity. Considering your experience, your background, your interest in humanity, when you think about society, which values would you pick as most relevant?
Well, I would say my experience as an educator, for one, we hardly dealing with those 4 words: empowerment, justice, responsibility, and inclusivity. Because most of the Indonesian school are focusing on the vocational, mainly, and secondly, just to graduate college and get done with it. Then, if I compare it to my corporate experience, that is something that is superficially understood and oftenly misunderstood by a lot of people. Because we traditionally, Southeast Asian people, we are patriarchal culture. And we carry that along the way, wherever we go. So the word like loyalty, I guess, matter more than the word empowerment, inclusivity, and the rest. And those words, cohorts, loyalty, can be very misleading in a way. And we have a lot of cases, not only in Indonesia again, in many parts of Southeast Asian countries where there were cases of abuse of power. And there is something about loyalty that is widely misunderstood. So when we talk about, our own society reflected on that, it depends on really the top-down approach that our leaders can give to us. Because most of the time, any initiatives in, especially institutions like universities or corporates, empowerment, inclusivity, it's something that is being given. This is your task to complete these 4 words in every of our businesses. Otherwise, the shareholders might not be, good to our business, right?
Yep.
So that is something that is not from within. And I guess the responsibility of the VBE is to put that in every person's heart, right? On how you can give impact without even being told to. On how you can be accountable without being monitored, by your superiors. So that is, I guess, has been the focus of my curiosity, for example, maybe, perhaps.
And is this the focus also of you as the CEO of your company? If I dare ask?
Yeah, I guess so, because we took a lot of initiatives, for example, that because again, especially corporate ventures is something new. It's something new to the corporate worlds. And when I go to Singapore and comparing to our Singaporean counterparts, it's also being misunderstood. Because not only we are investing in digital transformations for the, our parent company, but we also try to build the ecosystem. And with that, because again, Southeast Asia's ecosystem is still new, it's still infancy, and this is not the America where you have 4 cycles already in technology revolutions. So I guess what we have is to put every initiatives and try to, try to cultivate the culture of it's okay to make mistakes, right? Because everything is still trial and error. Venture capital and startups is not something that is fixed already in any part of the world, especially today. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and unless we make error, I don't think we can innovate. Right?
Exactly.
That
exactly
is the point.
True.
So very shortly, if I may ask one last question. 2, 3 words to a young startupper. What do they need from your experience?
Oh, yeah, I will say this to many. I've been saying this to many people. Make mistake while you're young.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nico. Okay, and now next to you, Tita. Okay, so let me introduce Tita Tumarayu. She is the founder of Ganara Merbijai. You pronounce it much better
Ganara Mari Berbagi Seni.
Thank you so much. So you are an experienced art director with a demonstrated history on working in the education management industry. So if I understand correctly, Tita, you do something fantastic, that is to teach children values. Can you tell us a bit more about your activities, please?
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear my voice? Yes, great. So during the session, I was praying the rain would stop during our session, and it has, thank God. So I was like, Bismillah, Bismillah. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tita Jumario. Like previously announced, I am the founder of Ganara Mari Berbagi Seni. Is that we have our student here, Mandip. So Ganara Mari Berbagi Seni is actually the English translation is Let's Share Art. Ganara Let's Share Art. So I have the clicker right here. Can you see? Okay. Wait, I kind of forgot. Oh, this one. Okay. So, okay. Ganara Mari Berbagi Seni was founded in 2013. So Ganara was actually named after our 3 boys. We have 3 boys. So anybody has a son here? Triple. So, and with my husband, Ronald Hindra, he's sitting over there. And Ganara is actually short for our boys' names, Gadra, Nalagra, and Ralanggana. But then we just found out about a year after it was built that Ganara is actually Spanish. It's a Spanish word that means I will win. So it's a good word. It's a great word. And we have been working together to create art education for all in Indonesia. So art education is not exactly something that is put forward in our government. It's number, I don't know which number, it's very in the bottom. Yeah. And there are only, this is a fact, there are only 1 art teacher for 1,100 students in Indonesia. It's very lacking. So starting in 2017, we started going to around 9 provinces across Indonesia, and we train art facilitators, local facilitators, to come in and replace these, to come into classes that are empty without the art teachers. So what they do is they teach values, they teach inclusivity. They teach so many things about gender equality, but through art. So I'm going to give you a little example.
I was going to ask you
Yes.
if you could give us an example. Thank you.
So I have here, I'm sorry, I'm a teacher, so I always stand up. So I have here, if you can see it. So I'm gonna, okay. So from this side, I'm gonna ask actually, Keenan, can you see? Okay, okay. So from that side, Karina, can you see this is, do you think there's anything else on this glass? Oh, you can see the handle in the back. Okay, so basically what happens is we asked our students to draw just from that side, and also if Keenan was there, he's drawing from that side. So sometimes we can see something very different from different perspective. And so from that discussion, we asked the students, have you ever seen a different perspective in your daily life? And do you see it in your government? Actually, we started in Makassar. I talked to Mbak Disa last night that we started in Atira, SMA Atira. And what happens is after about a few months that we educated the children, the students, the level of their critical thinking actually rose up. So it's proven that art helps us to be more open to differences. And it's very important in this country specifically because we consist of different religions and different races and different cultures. We go, even if we go to Trunyan village, the way they speak is very different from the way they speak here in Ubud. So I think it's very important that young people acknowledge that and makes that their values. But they cannot do that unless we actually give them the platform to do so.
Absolutely.
And I think art is the perfect way to come in. And so you can see here, it says that art education is a method to tackle disparities across the archipelago. So I truly believe that. And we have been working for almost a decade now. And we've reached around 25 cities and around 50,000 students and teachers across Indonesia. And this is an opportunity to see that art is not just, something that you put on something to make it more beautiful. In bahasa, seni itu bukan pemanis tetapi pemantik. So art should be something that triggers and challenges everyone. It's not just something that.
So Tita, thank you so much for explaining values through art. And going back to basic, I wonder if that cup could be a present. What you just showed, a present to bring home for families, for communities, for institutions. How about putting that at the center of the table of the G20?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. Describe what I did yesterday. Okay. Okay. So actually, we open our art program in the back, so you can go. We have our own space. Thank you so much for the committee because it's such a beautiful space. And we welcome around 30 participants, one of them is Mandip. So we have a bowl. So this actually started as a bowl of clay. And then you build it, and then you shape it, and you put your thumb inside, and you pinch it. And when you do it properly, and then you breathe, you learn, to be more mindful. So that's what we did.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm really sorry. I need to rush. So we would all love to spend more time with each of you, but unfortunately, I'm looking at a clock, and I still have two wonderful people that are here with us. So, Mandy, are you with us? Are you online? Are we connected?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, so let me introduce Mandi Sanghera. Mandeep is an international human rights activist. Since 1990, she has begun supporting victims and survivors of honor-based violence and cultural abuse such as female genital mutilations, forced marriages, faith-based abuse, and witchcraft. I stop here also with you. Mandy, please forgive me, but I prefer people to hear your voice. So we heard that the key values are that we talked about, are very much about something that connects us, and it's about what we share. We share in terms of experience as people, as nations, and society through our universal values, and Captain Budi talked also about universal values. So how does that resonate with you, considering what you do?
So for me, it's always been about being authentic and genuine. And as a young person, one thing I have told myself is that I belong to one race, which is the human race, regardless of who I may worship or what I may believe in, that actually we have universal values of treating everyone with fairness, with equality. And when Brett and Lena were talking about the SGs, you know, we're in the decade for action right now. We can't do any of those things without implementing, you know, values and looking at things collectively. And when I work with young people around the world, I always say to people, think globally, but always act locally. So when we think about the V20, it's a great platform, it's a great place to share ideas, but it's about what are we going to do next week when we go back, or when the baton is passed to India, what are we going to do? So what is the action plan? How are we going to carry on with those values? And for somebody who's challenged out-of-date cultural practices, because sometimes people will say, oh, it's my religion, it's my culture. But some of these things are nothing to do with that. And these are things that we need to break down and challenge, out-of-date practices where they are abusive, where there is, you know, people are not allowed to live the life that they want to. We have seen more recently in Iran where women now are protesting and actually, you know, calling out for change. And last year I was involved with evacuating Afghans from Afghanistan, and I evacuated with my team 395 individuals to date. And it was a very difficult time for me, and I had to dig deep within my own self to look at my own values. And one thing that I realized was that I cannot pour from an empty cup. I need to look after myself, and I need to also support people and be very realistic about what I can do and what I can't do. And again, it was about being honest and telling people the truth. And that comes back to about being authentic and being genuine.
So thank you, Mandy, also for sharing something so personal about you and your values. And we are human beings, so there is a limit, and we need to take care about ourselves before we take care about the others. But let me ask you, what would you envision if these four values, and let me repeat them, empowerment, justice, responsibility, inclusivity, were really something that becomes an inspiration for our G20 nations and other nations, hopefully?
No, and I think, you know, as Brett said, they are so important, and all of those values I live by, but empowerment is something that I sleep, breathe and live. For me, as somebody who has smashed that glass ceiling, it's kind of saying to the next generation, you know, it's become a floor for you to walk on. When we're in that position about creating inclusive spaces and giving a seat to the next generation, it's important that we send that elevator back down. We create real opportunities and not just talk about being a mentor, but actually being a sponsor and actually creating a space that is safe. So if people want to be able to become change agents of the future, we really need to involve the next generation. As India is going to be passed the baton, half of its population are under the age of 30. So I think that it's really important that when we think about empowerment, that we leave no one behind, that we really have representation at the table, that we treat everyone fairly with respect. And again, it is about creating, spaces where people can express themselves freely and be allowed to be who they want to be. And also, as world leaders and government ministers and everyone else here, it's not just about lip service. This is about really wanting to call for actions. And I think that it's really important that when we meet with leaders during the G20 and through the next couple of days when other people are going to be coming to Indonesia, that we actually make sure that we embed these 4 values and talk to them about them and tell them the importance of it.
Thank you, Mandy. Surely this is what V20 is about. So trying to bring the voice, the human voice, and bring that voice to the center also the conversation that at the G20 level happen. Thank you so much, Mandy. And let me now go to our last, but definitely not less important, wonderful speaker, so Mr. Henra. Before I go on, may I ask you to pronounce your surname? Please.
Henra, just 5 letters.
Okay, so Mr. Henra is the Senior Vice President, as we heard, of Strategic Planning and Business Development at PT Taspen. Instead of me talking about this company, can you please share something about your company?
Okay, thank you. Good noon, everyone. Let me introduce a little bit about Taspen because anyone knows about Taspen. So in this good occasion, I will introduce a little bit. In Indonesia, we have for social assistance by governments of Indonesia. The first, BPJS health security for all Indonesian people. The second, BPJS employment, social security for informal sectors. The third, ASABRI, social security for military. And the last one, here I am, Taspen, social security for civil servants. So Taspen is a state-owned enterprise, 100% owned by the government. We have 4 programs. All age saving program, or we call it Tabungan Hari Tua, THT, and then pension program. Work accident security program, or we call it Jaminan Kecelakaan Kerja, and the last one, death security program atau jaminan kematian. We serve around 6.7 million participants, consists of 3.8 active civil servants and 2.9 civil servant retired. That's the brief introduction of our company. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can imagine how difficult it is to summarize all this. And may I also ask you to give us an example of one program, specific program that could benefit people, our society could benefit from?
Okay, thank you. Carrying out its duties in managing pension fund, Taspen has a special unit to promote or create value for the community. We call it Social and Environmental Responsibility Unit. This is company's commitment to sustainable development by providing environment, social, legal, and benefits. And this is in line with the direction of our Ministry of State-Owned Enterprise. And in carrying out its social program, refers to the SDGs. Here are some of our program. We have Kampung Taspen or Taspen Village. So we empower people in the chosen village to be more productive. Taspen built an exhibition hall and then create health park and giving training about the inorganic waste scrap. Forward, because there are so many people in the village, in this village, but don't know what to do. There's no activity. So Taspen giving like training. How we are collaborate with environmental agency, giving training how to sort and process the waste into the valuable goods. And then the residents can produce from the waste to be available goods and sales in the exhibition hall. Everyone now, before, this village is already ordinary village, no more visitor or tourists. But now there are so many tourists and visitors, and the village comes alive. Yeah, because there's so many activities there.
So, thank you, Hera. And if I'm correct, you are having with DY another session around 3 o'clock about caretaker. Is that correct?
Yes, Ms. DY, because we have a program too with collaboration with DDI and ALZI. We want to give training for volunteer or caretaker. At least they know or understanding how to face the people with dementia.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, yes, they deserve absolutely an applause. I have still 5 minutes, so I'm going to challenge my 7 speakers. You have less than 1 minute to give us your last observations. Let's go back to our task force leaders. Lena, Brett, the table is yours. Less than 1 minute.
1 minute? I just want to say I was so inspired hearing everyone here. And the first person reminded me, my friend Emma Jelly once sent me a song by Melvina Raymond. And this song, I'm going to read a couple of lines from it. It says, there are houses on the hillside, you know, there's a yellow one and a blue one and a pink one and a red one, and they all look just the same. And the people in those houses, they all went to university and then they were put in boxes and they all look just the same. And it reminded me of this conversation that our first speaker was mentioning, that, you know, we've been doing things in a certain way and we've been put into boxes, and the world is not in a good place today. Today is a golden opportunity for us to stop and rethink the way we do everything. To stop and really think, how are we educating? How are we promoting what is right and what is wrong? How are we measuring and assessing at the country level, at the global level, at the community level, what is right and what is wrong? Today we have a golden opportunity to think about those universal values and put them at the center of everything that we do, from education to measurement and to promoting the common good for everyone around the world.
Thank you, Lena. Brett, you are next. Please, short.
Very short. I mean, firstly, I'm incredibly inspired by what I've heard from everyone. And the key point that I take away is that phrase that we are in the decade of action. We are moving from protest to progress. We are moving from resistance to regeneration. We are moving from being excluded to being more empowered. And empowerment is something that we're given, but we also take up. And that's our opportunity to take it up. And I think everyone has been very brave to identify and look at the truth, but also very hopeful and humble. And I think that's where this meeting and the policy recommendations, the connections, the togetherness are the fibers that make up society. And there's a yearning and an optimistic frustration of a better society. And the path to a better society is made by walking.
Thank you, Brett. Next to you, Nico.
Well, I guess this is a work in progress, right? I hope my entire work focus on the next generations. Might be a bit of futurist myself, an optimist, but you know, we need to take care of the especially the new sectors of the industries, see Indonesia and Southeast Asia and G20 countries 20 years forward.
Thank you so much. Tita.
Okay, real quick. So I believe that if we actually explore the values, but in a different way, in a different setting, trying to teach our young how to value themselves and also value everyone else, and we do it creatively, I think we're going to build a better Indonesia and a better world.
Thank you. Mandy. We cannot hear you. I think you are on mute.
I am sorry. Hi. What I would say is that we encourage a world where everyone can bring their authentic self to the table, that actually everyone lets go of fear. Because as I always say, fear is only real inside my head, and outside my head it doesn't exist. And that actually when we're thinking about empowerment, and if we're in a position of privilege, that we pay it forward, that we bring somebody up behind us, that we create a real space for the next generation. We have to become the change that we want to see in the world. It is important that we really do become like the change agent and become a sponsor and become an enabler and stop kind of being the person that's kind of promoting oppression, because there is no place for that. It is about equality, and as like Brett said, we're in the decade for action. We've got an awful lot of goals to achieve, and a lot of those goals have been set back through the pandemic, and we know like gender equality has gone back over 100 more years, you know, so it's really important that when we look at the health inequalities and all those other ones that have come to the surface like never before, like digital poverty in the UK, these things are real, and these things are happening to the next generation, and we really have to make sure that we're not just looking after ourselves.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Thank you. Now, 20 minutes for you, Hera, for your closing remark. 20 seconds, sorry, no minutes. Yes, you see?
Okay, my last word may be sharing and caring to everyone. So they will do the same thing for us. Thank you.
And from me, terima kasih semuanya. Thanks to you all. Thank you, really. Thanks so much.
Let's give the biggest round of applause for our facilitator, Ibu Marisa Facho,
Thank you
Bapak
so
Niko
much.
Wijaya, Dr. Lina Dog Iri, Bapak Brett McFarlane, Ibu Mandy Sagera, Bapak Hendra, dan Ibu Tita. Boleh yang hadir di sini untuk maju ke depan, please step forward for a picture opportunity. Look to the center, ladies and gentlemen, and those speakers joining us online as well. Big smile to the camera.
One more time. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Very interesting panel discussion. We wish we had more time. We always wish we had more time. Okay. Thank you, Marissa.